The roots of the conflict, there's so many different dimensions to this if you go throughout history. So I think there is as in anything to do with international relations, there is a power dimension to it. It's about control and influence. And so Qatar was always somewhat a vassal state of the Saudis throughout history. In the same way that Bahrain is a vassal state to Saudi Arabia today. And the big brother of all the GCC countries was always the Saudis. And the Saudis had disproportionate influence over all these smaller countries. And I think since the 1990s, we've seen a hyper development particularly in the UAE and Qatar, where both of Abu Dhabi and Doha wanted to emancipate themselves from the influence of Saudi Arabia because they thought Saudi influence is in many ways counterproductive to development. And as part of this, the Saudis were fearful to lose control. And we also have to say that Qatari society in Qatar as a country was always a lot closer to the Saudis than the Emiratis were. So losing Qatar was for something that the Saudis could not accept. And we've seen there have been a lot of different incidents where the Saudis have tried to meddle in internal affairs in Qatar, trying to change the regimes, putting pressure on emirs. And I think this is it's an extension of that as well. It's about, we want to control Qatar. The Emiratis want to control Qatar in a way of making Qatar silent. They don't want Qatar to continuously funding opposition groups across the region. They don't want Qatar to pour money into media outlets that provide liberal ideology across the region, because liberal ideology will lead for them to insurgency and revolution and instability. Then there is another dimension to it, is the ideological one that somewhat links into the one over interests. The ideological one is really the Emirati-Saudi idea of authoritarian stability. The only way that the Middle East can excel is by having clear, repressive, authoritarian regimes that have an iron fist and can control their people through a very strong security sector. In the same way, basically following the narrative that was propagated by the West throughout, all the way until the Arab Spring. We always believed it's best for the Middle East to have a strong authoritarian regime in the middle, at the center of each state that can control the people, because this way we can create some sort of certainty.